working with someone else just like sharpens you a little bit more to talk with your own clients. And y'all know this as well. Like the way businesses grow is it starts from you and your personal network, and then it sort of goes out to maybe your personal network and maybe their friends, and then friends of friends. It's very rare you just throw up a website and people are clamoring to get to your website and fill out your support form. Like it's usually comes from your network. That's where the clients come from.
Welcome to No Surprises, a look inside the ambitious, joyful, and occasionally terrifying journey of creators. We are in season 3. We are talking about community, and we have actually already been chatting and recording for the last 20 minutes, but we are starting 20 minutes in because this is a bit like a goat rodeo. Throwback to season 1. But
still available.
Here we are. This is what happens when you get friends on your podcast and you're like, oh God, I can't keep track. Kelsey, who do we have here today?
I'm doing this without even looking at a document because
I don't think you need to.
I don't need
purely
it.
referential.
I don't need it. The incredible, lovely, friendly, fun, fantastic Christy Price and Will Myers. Together, they host their own podcast, which is phenomenal, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. And separately, they are both incredible leaders in the Squarespace field. I wanted to say Squarespace space, but then that's, two double spaces.
A lot of space.
Will is not only a site builder himself, but he is the go-to custom code guru for Squarespace experts. He has an incredible community called Curious Coder that I am a part of, and it teaches me something about code on Squarespace every day, which is great. It is a huge source of inspiration. And Christy, while also doing site design for her individual clients, has become another prolific leader in terms of sharing information and courses about Squarespace. She's got an epic blogging course. And then the two of them have collaborated on some really fun things together, which we will talk about, because today our goal is to talk a little bit about bringing two different sides of a community together and collaboration and how that can kind of change the trajectory of your career. Christy, Will, we're so excited to have you.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. This is fun for us.
Oh my gosh. We just got to hang out together in the great
New York
state of New York. New York City.
New York. Yeah, that was a blast.
It was a blast. And now we have separated to far-flung corners of the universe. Tell us where you are right now, both of you.
Well, I'm in Austin, Texas, where it is now 90 degrees instead of 105. So I'm breaking out the turtlenecks and boots.
Wow.
Yeah, Christy was telling me how this is fall weather. And I was like, yeah, 90. Let's put on those turtlenecks. Let's go.
Oh, with the AC blasting, sometimes you do need it.
Oh, I have the AC on for sure. Unlike Will, who doesn't have AC at the moment.
Rubbing it in.
Will,
so sad for you,
Will.
It's just sad.
No AC.
But where do you have to suffer this lack of AC?
I am in Genova, Italy, and we'll be here. We got here on Tuesday, and we'll be here for about a month. And there is no AC. It's a little sad, but the highs are like mid 70s, so it's really not that bad.
Genova,
Genova.
I am
Italian, and so this is very real. Like this is
like a
all
thing.
Genova.
When you get back to
if you're listening to the podcast, it's hand gestures.
Oh,
you're missing.
We're yelling.
On the
Our
finger.
hands are everywhere. Everyone's telling a different story. It's like high stakes hangouts.
You gotta love it. The Italian culture is just wonderful.
Oh, people will be like, just wait. I'm sure you're gonna get a whole lot of nanas being like, you need to eat more. Like they show up and they're like, you're American, and then they'll look at you and they'll be like, challenge accepted. And then all of a sudden you're just in a stream of dishes and they're going to watch you eat, and you need to praise them, but then you also need to eat everything on your plate. I'm sorry. And then they're going to give you more. So just plan on that.
With it. I'm fine with it. I've probably already gained 10 pounds being over here. I'm happy to gain another 10 more. The food is just incredible.
I lived in Italy for 3 months once. And I remember when I was starting to notice that my pants were getting tighter. And I said to myself, well, Mallory, there's 2 things you can do here. 1, you can address this and maybe shed some of the weight, or 2, you can just lean all the way in and know that I am in Italy and I'm eating everything I could get my hands on. And I went
And this
to,
just calls for new pants.
Right.
and it's great.
Oh,
It was,
no.
you know what?
Who
I
shrunk my
walked
pants?
around in some really tight clothing for about a month and I owned it. It was great. I had every single thing that I ever wanted and it didn't matter. And I got
That's
home
smart.
and I was like, okay, well, you know,
Now
I
it's
made
time
the
to-
right choice.
Yeah. I just have a bunch of loose, baggy clothes and the stretchy
Perfect.
pants.
Yep.
So I'm good. I'm
Perfect.
set.
Perfect.
I'm
Perfect.
set.
Good.
So speaking of having everything you've ever wanted, I want to start by talking about your collaboration. You two were these lovely satellites that were, orbiting the Squarespace multiverse.
Mhm.
And over the last, 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, you have started collaborating on some really fun stuff. Please tell us about how this started and where it's ended or where it is currently.
Yeah. So I think where it started was I had admired Will and his work for a while. And I think that, you find resources that you keep coming back to, and you learn a little bit about that person from being on their email address, and thought, he's a really cool guy. He's got some great products out there, great plugins. And then someone who was on each of our email addresses said to us, you guys should connect. And so I think we both felt a little awkward about it. Like, it's a work date kind of thing, blind date, work date. But we had a call and it was just super fun. I think Will and I, we're both from the South. We have a lot in common and we just had a blast talking.
That's awesome. So what was the first thing you did what was the first thing you built together?
Oh, we did a webinar. We did an ask us anything. I forget exactly what it was on. But
random
we just,
topics.
I'm not gonna lie, I think we crushed that one. I think we crushed it. And we just had a good time and we were just cutting up and answering questions. And it was just really clear we just enjoyed working together. And y'all know this, maybe less so because y'all have more of an in-person thing at Week of the Website. But I just didn't have that. I was very much sort of in my silo, working on my computer, and then finally being able to talk to someone about my specific problems and frustrations and stuff, and then share it again out with the world was just an absolute blast. And so after that, it just kind of was like, okay, we need to be doing more stuff together.
Yeah.
That is such a true thing about developing. Like you truly are siloed. You're
So
working,
siloed.
You're on your computer, and then you talk to someone and you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize I needed this so bad.
A human.
So
I would finish
true.
working and then all of a sudden I would see the first person I would see after work gets just a deluge of just everything that I've been thinking about and wanting to tell someone. You can parse it out a little bit better.
Yeah. And I think you've made it when you get the other person's personal cell phone number and it's like, oh, we can text now.
Now we text. Yeah.
SMS,
that
baby.
That's the big one. That's the big one. Once you start texting.
It's a different level. It's a different level.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's such a focus on community as an extension of marketing or a way that you can build these monetizable assets. But I love the idea that what you two have been able to form is something that is more akin to a creative partnership that you see in more traditional forms of the arts, right? And I think that that's so hard to come by because it's very trust-based, especially when you have any part of the Venn diagram that overlaps. I think especially when people are getting started, it's hard for them to imagine letting someone else into their bubble who could be perceived as a competitor. But I actually think that's such a secret to success for so many people. But how do you two manage that, or how does that interplay for you when you're working on these, you've got Somewhat Useful, your podcast, and then you've got, some of these tools that you've collaborated on and built together, but you also both have client facing projects. how do you manage that for people who are looking at this going, I'd love to have like a buddy, but what do we do if we're up for the same gig, or like someone comes in that's a good fit for me? And how do you manage that?
The
Yeah.
internet's so big. Like
It's
the chances
so many
of
fish in the
that
sea.
happening, there's so many fish in the sea. And and like working with someone else just like sharpens you a little bit more to talk with your own clients. And y'all know this as well. Like the way businesses grow is it starts from you and your personal network, and then it sort of goes out to maybe your personal network and maybe their friends, and then friends of friends. It's very rare you just throw up a website and people are clamoring to get to your website and fill out your support form. Like it's usually comes from your network. That's where the clients come from. And we're in different cities, we're in different places. I don't know, Christy, I'd love to hear this is a great question, Kelsey.
It is a great question. And I think, Will, for you and me, I think we are both pretty transparent, even with our communications, that, our email list, our blog posts, like we're both pretty transparent people anyway. So I think that maybe it's a personality thing as well. We're not gatekeeping a lot of info. But I do feel like Will and I have a very good amount of trust for each other. And whenever something has come up about, how are we going to work on this together, we just talk about it up front. And we know, like we're both grown-ups, we're not going to get our feelings hurt. We can have conversations. And I think we could have hard conversations if we needed to. We haven't had to, because Will's awesome.
Because we have a perfect relationship.
Because all we do is have fun together, just like me and Mallory.
Right.
I know.
Yes,
Kelsey and I
exactly.
never fight.
Never, not
Exactly.
once. In nearly 10 years of working together,
Wow.
at no point has there ever been friction at all.
If you ever have friction in your business, you're doing something wrong. That's on you.
Yeah, but I
Right.
think clear communication is the key, and just having hard conversations when you need to.
Yeah. I do
You
want to
kinda
just make a
have to-
disclaimer. If anyone is listening to this and not watching it to see the expressions on Mallory and I's face,
We're all being sarcastic.
deeply sarcastic. Like
Yeah.
it is a very natural part of any kind of creative partnership, friendship, or community to have friction. But as the gentle parenting community is known to say, it's not about the rupture, it's about the repair. So
It
that's
is.
just a big asterisk. and
Wow,
caveat.
gentle parenting.
Yeah.
No, but it's
That's
true
good.
because that's like I'm one of those people where I'm like, I embrace challenge, I embrace difficulty. If you are just cruising along, it doesn't mean you're doing everything right. It just means that you maybe aren't growing or getting better. And that scares me more than the friction itself. And so Kelsey and I have had a lot of really aggressive fights. And by aggressive, I mean like tears, anger, yelling. But the end, but like 5 minutes into it, it lasts for like 5 minutes. And then we both are like, oh, no.
Yeah, no, you need to get it out.
We don't want to fight. Yeah. You need to get it out. I mean, like when you work as closely as some of us do together, it's like, you gotta talk about it.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
I think
for
Will
you
and
two,
all of us have points too.
I was gonna say, like for you two, it's probably less like internal changes that disrupt things, and more like, we know using the Squarespace platform, it is like a highly evolving place. And they're always rolling out new features. They're always rolling out tools. When you're building tools together, I imagine it's been kind of, it's sometimes hard to like ride the ebbs and flows of those changes and being like, oh, we have to redo this, or like, oh, we have to change this, or we're getting a bunch of support requests. Is that correct? That like when you come up against like moments of change or tension, that it's more related to like external things affecting your work?
Well, I think like just to be super clear, Will handles all of the plugin stuff.
Yeah.
So, he's dealing with the support and those code-based changes. So I just like stand back and collect my affiliate income and smile. So really that's all on Will, which is probably one reason we don't have that friction. I don't see it.
Right. I mean, we haven't like intermingled like finances we've just kept that very clear as like, this is what the arrangement is.
Smart.
And it was an absolute no brainer. No, y'all two got
No. I don't know
deeply.
No, I
Kelsey,
was
there-
gonna say, I don't know why. I was just being like smart, and Mallory's laughing like I'm making a point. I'm not. I'm just reacting.
I'm laughing because I'm thinking it like how deeply intertwined Kelsey and Mai's finances
right.
are, like
Yeah.
our
Right.
livelihoods.
Oh,
Like now we're bringing her husband into the mix, and we're like, man, we are like high stakes.
We better make
again.
this
There's
work.
a lot of
We better
opinions.
make this
Yeah,
work. I
there's a
know.
lot of opinions.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of conflict going on with the three.
Oh, I love
Possible.
it though. But look at us,
But-
10 years later, and we're still crushing it. So
Honestly, I mean, you look at the like Steve Jobs, like his whole thing was like he did it poorly, of course, but like the idea of like getting people to just like really give their opinions and fight and have clashing opinions and really get to
Yeah.
a deeper truth to figure out what the right product is for the customer. Like that's how you create something great. So I don't like
Right.
shying away from conflict is a recipe for mediocrity.
yeah, in new worlds of development, whether it's a plugin or a website, like echo chambers are not going to be pushing the envelope. You're not going to be getting better.
Right.
You're not going to be doing anything more groundbreaking. It's just going to be more of the same. And in our industry, as we've already noticed, Squarespace, it's like hitting a moving target sometimes with some of the new stuff that comes out. So the more nimble you can be through it all, the more
Yeah.
successful you can
Yeah,
be. And a part of that is yelling at each other.
You're right.
And I think to the point about Squarespace rolling out changes frequently, I mean, we've all been on the Squarespace train for several years at this point. So we knew, we've known it's a rapid iterative development company, and we've made the choice to ride that train. It's a crazy
Yeah.
train, but we're on it. And,
Yeah.
that's a choice that we make. So, I think for people who want something that's a little more static, it's probably not the right platform for them to grow a business on, because
Yeah.
it is constantly changing.
You're
Yeah.
so right. We had to opt in. We knew that. And anytime there's a new change and we get friction from any team member, we're like, nope, you got to jump on. We got to figure this out now. And that's like when Fluid Engine came out, we were like, everyone start using it. And everyone was like digging in. And it was so frustrating. But we're like, you can do hard
It's where
things.
it
We
is.
can learn this. And it's now everyone's like, this is amazing.
1,000
The
times
changes are always good. It's
Mhm.
just change can be hard because you
Right.
have to learn something new. You have to step outside your comfort zone. But the quicker you jump on that train, the more ahead of the game you're going to be than the people who are dragging their feet, being like, oh,
Right.
I don't like that you removed this. And you're like,
So-
well,
I have a question about this because I can't tell if this is a me thing or if this is a thing. I obviously have been much more engaged in the community this year because I've been doing more like externally facing projects, whereas like the last 8 years we have been very internal facing, right? We've been doing all client work aside from our own blog, which we mostly do for our own fun and, marketing efforts. Like we really haven't been as engaged with the broader Squarespace community. That said, I do feel like there is a different energy in the last 2 years, but also year. Is that just because I'm more in it? Or do you feel like there is more of like, there's more people getting into it. There's more people growing in the like Squarespace experts, like outward facing space. Is this a me? You can answer totally honestly. Is this a me thing or is this a thing?
I'm glad you said that. I'm feeling the same thing. I'm feeling
Yeah.
like there's more, and I have that exact same question though. I don't know if just like I'm getting more invested in it and like putting more of my cards on the Squarespace table and
Yeah.
making the connections, forcing myself to do this or not. But I'll tell you this, like I have worked in Shopify, WordPress, other systems in the last year. Squarespace is just the best. It is the best to hand off. It is still the best to hand off to basically your client. And that's at the end of the day, really the number one thing if you are freelancer, if you're building anything under like $1 million website, you got to hand it off. And so I think that is just attracting more people. I think it is growing, and the circle community as well has just been, after Sarah kind of took it over, it's been incredible.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think in the last 2 years, we've really seen the circle team at Squarespace lean into developing that area. And I think that's a large part of why we're seeing more, there's just more vocal people, because I think they welcome that kind of feedback now. And they are, we talked earlier about Circle Day and getting to see each other there. So this was the second annual Squarespace Circle Day. And so they're really putting a lot of effort and a lot of time into creating a community.
Well,
also-
it's funny because they're going to be the guests on the next. I'm looking at my calendar
Amazing.
right now. They're Sam
Sarah
and
and
Sarah
Jeremy?
are
Sam and Sarah.
next. The next
dream
guest that will
team.
be on.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
so-
I adore
they're
them.
excellent. Yeah, they're really good. They've done incredible things for the Squarespace community.
I've never seen Sam out of a jumpsuit. And I think Mallory, you and I
No.
need to both wear jumpsuits to record.
That's a great
Ooh,
idea.
Good idea.
Right?
Good idea. And we'll be like, oh, don't you
This-
hate when you show up wearing the same thing as someone?
This
And he's
is
gonna be like, this is
awkward.
all you've ever seen me in.
Oh, you'll have to do it.
We were joking, talking about being kind of the old guard in the Squarespace world, right?
Mhm.
Like we've all been at this for some time. It's been so interesting to see those newer voices coming into the space.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's never made me feel I've never felt so, I'm not older, but like it is interesting to be like, oh my God, like we've been at this for a long time.
Mhm.
You're coming to this with so much enthusiasm, but also you're learning on a really different system than the one we learned on, especially as folks who are creating content for that community. What's that feel like? Like, what's it like for you? Because I know for us, when we see new people coming up building websites for clients, you're always like, oh, that's interesting or different. But obviously, like there's more people building plugins, there's more people teaching courses. Do you ever have to go through your own internal process of like, oh, okay, this person's doing something new. How does this make me feel?
Ooh. Yeah. I mean, I felt that way once like the Square Kicker and Spark plugin, once those came out, because that was just such a new and revolutionary way to like do stuff in Squarespace. It's incredible. Like what those things can do is just mind-blowing. And it really made me be like, dang, okay, like do I need to adjust there? Like what is my position in the market and like the coding plugin market? Like how do I just, where am I going to go? Where am I going to be in 3 years if this is where everything's going? And I think I've figured it out and understand the distinction between those. But
Can I ask,
I mean,
Will, is that where, like, I really like the perspective of Curious Coder because I felt like it had such a clear value proposition, which is like, you can go buy plugins, you can go pull snippets, but if you are interested in understanding more of the functional underpinning of this is how you can approach it. Do you feel like that's kind of like how you clarified your perspective and the type of work you do?
Yes. Yeah. It's a lot more of understanding what the code you're pasting in is doing. And because very rarely do you paste in code and that's exactly what you want it to do. You want to do one or two minor tweaks. And so it's just understanding where that comes from. And also something that has really helped me in client phone calls is editing live, doing stuff live with the client on the call. So you're not going through all these emails, revisions back and forth. And having that understanding of how the code works has really helped me do that. And then I can do something that would have taken 4 hours, maybe over email. I can do it in like a 30-minute phone call.
That's really, really cool. And Christy, I know we were, I think maybe it was during our AMA together, you had a very clear statement of the kinds of clients that you are specifically targeting, the kinds of websites. And I really loved the way you just owned that. Like, I'm not doing X, but I'm a really good fit for Y. Can you talk a little bit about like, who's the ideal client or ideal audience that you really like speaking to?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people, when they think about niching down, they think about, oh, I want to niche down to this particular type of client that does a thing. So maybe, you know, I only want to build websites for lawyers, or I only want to build websites for electricians.
Sure.
And I think I would get bored. That's just me. You know, I would get bored And part of one of the reasons I really love doing website design is I get to learn a lot about a company when I'm working with them. And I think that's
Yeah.
super fun. So I niche down in another way. So I have a process for my builds that works really well for solopreneurs and micro businesses. So there's like one decision maker, maybe their spouse is involved at some level too, but it really is a one-on-one arrangement. And we can get a lot done in a little bit of time. And so it keeps the budget low for them. It keeps me from getting bored because I turn the project around pretty quickly and I get to learn about what they're doing. So I think when you talk about niching down or, finding clients, I like to think about it as finding clients that fit my process so I can serve them well and give them what they need at a good price point, and we all walk away happy from the project.
Christy, you're talking about one of my favorite topics, which is positioning.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, there's so
Christy's
many
the best at positioning and boundaries. She's so good at boundaries too.
we love a boundary setter.
Love boundaries.
Okay, wait, let's do a boundary exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Christy, I know that we agreed on this really specific scope, but
Mhm.
I also came into this project with some really specific goals and expectations.
Mhm.
And I don't feel like those have been met with where we are right now.
Mhm.
How do you think, what are we going to do to move forward?
Kelsey, that is, I'm really sorry to hear that. First of all, let's talk about what those goals and expectations are and how those came up in our original conversations, because I want to make sure that we are on the right track. So let's revisit our notes and our calls and see what we've missed. And then when we do that and there's clearly no mention of it, I'll be like, great. Let's add that to our scope for our round
Scope
two.
two.
So let's get your website launched. This is something Christine Neal does really beautifully too. She creates this wishes document. So as you're working on a project and something comes up that's out of scope, it's like, great, we'll put that on the next document and we'll follow up with that after this engagement is over. But if it was something we talked about, then absolutely, I would pivot and make sure that
Let's
they're
check
happy.
the receipts.
Yeah.
Let's check now that we've checked the receipts and we see that clearly you have misspoken.
Yeah.
This is why you keep a paper trail, folks.
Right. But we're all human. I mean, for sure, I could miss something. And if I missed it, I'll own it. Like, oh, I messed up and let's fix that right now. Yeah.
Gentlemen, ladies, and ladies, a masterclass in boundaries
good.
from a very
Right.
experienced developer. No, I think that boundary muscle is one of the hardest ones to strengthen,
Mhm.
but it's also so important.
But that's
And
the
I think
point. It's a
boundaries
muscle. You
are-
got to strengthen it.
And boundaries are healthy for everybody. And as long as you do it with kindness and you're respecting both the client and yourself in the process, it's a win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will, how many emails do you get asking you to customize your plugins for people, and how do you handle those requests?
Oh man.
Knowing that you want to be so helpful, but also you are a person who has to make money and have a job. How do you handle that when those come through?
Well, Abby handles 95% of my support tickets. And we've been working together for over a year. And so she knows all my plugins very well. Sure, her coding abilities have grown with the plugin. So she's able to do just any minor customizations. But again, that's been great. That's been great to have her help. But we have had to do a lot of work similarly to draw boundaries of this is what's included. This is what's not included. We do customer support on a best effort basis. If you don't trust me, you shouldn't be putting my code on your website, honestly. So I trust that I will give you my best effort. And 95% of the time we way exceed people's expectations. And that 5% is people that just expect the moon and you'll never please them. So there's just been a lot of, you just got to let those people go. But there
Typically
is
the ones that got it with a massive coupon.
Yeah, right.
Always, every time. This is why discounting doesn't work that well. They're not your clients.
I know discounting is just, it's a mess. But yeah.
I am obsessed with providing support on a best effort basis.
Yeah.
I think that's such a cool way of anytime you are doing work that is like, you are not my client, I am not your retainer provider.
Mhm.
I love that. I don't feel like theft is the word, but I do feel like that's one of those things that's going to stick in my head when we're talking about those things.
Take it.
Mhm.
Take it. I mean,
Wow.
I did not coin that. I got that from somewhere else. And same thing. Immediately when I saw it, I'm like, that's exactly what I'm trying to intone when I help people.
Yes.
It's like, I'll give you my best effort, but I'm not promising anything.
Yes. I have struggled with that a lot with the course and the book because like, I can't change anything that is written on this page. Like people have been like, are you going to update the Kindle's book? Are you going to, I was like, I don't have access to it. I
Mm-mm.
can't change it. I can't do it. And I feel like what I've been trying to do is understand like, okay, I can make my best effort to communicate these to you, but also to train you on how to do this. I will say Christy and Will are both significant parts of this. So I do want to take this time to publicly thank both of you for being such amazing parts of this book. It's been really, really exciting to like have this be a resource, but both of you were so generous in like responding to my requests for quotes and things. And now forever you can hold something up against and your spouses and say, I'm sorry.
I'm published.
I'm in a
in a
book.
published book.
I get to
thank
pick where we
you,
order
Kelsey.
from dinner. I
Right.
get
Yeah.
to pick where we get dinner.
It's Papa John's tonight.
It's
Not
Papa John's
Domino's.
night.
I've
Papa
also
John's
been
night.
I've also had a lot of fun throwing around. Oh yeah, my friend Kelsey, she just published a book.
She's published a book.
Yes.
Yeah. In our
I hang
big
around with
mahogany
these
book
amazing,
rooms. Yes.
amazing, intelligent people.
Thank you
We
for
are-
writing that book though, Kelsey. The Squarespace community needed something like that. And obviously Squarespace is going to change, but the work anyone else did is minute compared to what you did in putting
Yeah.
that together. So thank you for putting that together and out in the world.
Well, I am so happy it is done. I will truly, I really can't express to you how nice it is to have to not write a book anymore.
I bet.
I have a feeling this will not be the last time that we hang out, the
I
four
hope
of us
not.
on a podcast.
I hope not.
You should absolutely seek out Christy and Will's individual sites. We will make sure to share links to things in the show notes. And then of course they have their own fabulous podcast called Somewhat Useful, right? Right? That's
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
God,
That's it.
Somewhat useful.
I had an absolute like blank when I was introing you. I couldn't get it back, but their podcast is amazing, and I think it's like NPR quality. I texted them that the first time that I listened to it, and I was like, "I'm sorry, are you WBEZ? What the hell?"
And I immediately texted Will and I'm like, we've made it. Kelsey
We've
referenced
done it.
We
NPR.
figured it out.
NPR. We did it. We did it.
I mean, it'll probably shock you that I'm a big NPR fan. So
Did not see
I
that
can
coming. At
weird,
all.
I
weird.
can see it. Mhm, mhm.
But yeah, thank you both so much. It has been a delight.
This
Thanks
has been
for
a blast.
having us. So much fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. This is a blast. We love y'all's podcast as well. And obviously
Yes.
anyone listening is also subscribed to you. So
Yes.
I got
Well,
I got no call to
yes.
action there.
Speaking of that, you can subscribe to No Surprises where you get any of your podcasts. You can also watch this delightfulness on YouTube. Our website is weekofthewebsite.com, and you can also find us on Instagram at weekofthewebsite. And we will be back next week with even more community and even less surprises, as we've been saying.
Decreasingly fewer surprises every episode,
Every episode.
But
Every episode.
It's all right.
increasingly more delight.
Yes.
Ooh.
Love
Only
it.
delight, in
Ooh.
fact.
I
Any
like
chance we
it.
get to use our taglines, we're always using them. It's fun.
That's a good one. That's a good one.